Welcome to the California Urban Podcast. I'm your host, Marc Lavar, and I'm really excited that you're tuning in. On this podcast, we explore the quality of life that Californians experience on a day-to-day basis, good or bad. So, California's the place, urban's the perspective, and truth is our only objective. Let's talk. California. Good evening, Bay Area and all my California residents. My name is Marc Lavar. I am your host of the California Urban Podcast. And tonight, I'm in studio with the super producer. He's actually here in studio, the super producer, Marvin Bay Boy Finch. And without no further ado, we're going to get right into this topic. It's a very serious topic that came to my attention today as I was studying for my broker's license. I looked at my phone and I got this update, and the update mentioned one of my favorite football players back when I was young in high school trying to play football myself, and that guy's name is Mr. Ray Carruth. I used to love Ray Carruth. He was small. It's a small receiver just like myself. He was quick. He was a beast. He had hands, and he was doing his thing. And so I followed him. He also was from California. I believe he was from Sacramento. And I looked at the headlines, and it said that he got out of jail after serving 18 years in prison for the murder of a young lady, a pregnant young lady. And I thought to myself, wow, he served 18 years for murder. And I totally forgot about that. I believe that was like 1997 or 1999 or I believe it was December 14th, 1999. To be exact. And I remember being a young man. I was, still a teenager at that time, and just thinking, wow, how could someone do that? And then I had all the thoughts of a young man, especially a young man growing up in an urban setting, about why someone would do something like that. And it's I had a lot of mixed thoughts about it. One, I was thinking, oh, well, he probably didn't want to have a kid, or he probably came from a gangster background, or he probably grew up in an urban environment where, domestic violence, which is our topic tonight, was a common thing. And then I looked at my household, and I was blessed enough to never experience domestic violence, and partly because my mother was a single mother the entire time she raised me. So that was a part of life that I was totally oblivious to. And now here we are. And so what happened in that situation was, I guess it was some type of setup to where he was driving in a car in front of the lady after coming from the movies with her or whatnot. And, I guess he arranged for a hit. And he stopped the car at a stoplight. He was in front of her. The other car pulled alongside, and they shot into the vehicle. And at the time, this woman was 8 months pregnant. And she got hit, and she was still able to call 911. And I heard the call. I actually looked it up on YouTube. And there's a story that was covered in the Charlotte Journal, and they played the video. And I heard the call, and it was heartbreaking. But she went to the hospital. They came to get her. She went to the hospital, and a few days later, she passed away. Now, with the son that was in her belly, the doctor saved him, but he had some type of handicap. I believe it's cerebral palsy and some other type of handicap. So he's unfortunate in that situation where he didn't get an opportunity to live a normal life. And of course, Ray was prosecuted, and he went to prison. He was prosecuted for an 18 to 24 year sentence, and he served 18 of that. And now he's back into society as of yesterday, and it's been noted that he wants custody of his 17-year-old child. And I was filled with so many emotions because I'm a father, and I know how it is to be away from your child. And, you know, people definitely make mistakes. And in this situation, it's a horrible, horrible mistake. But the question is, after domestic violence happens, should the perpetrator be able to be reintroduced into the child's life? And that's a very heavy question. And I'll tell you right now, I feel that he should at least have the opportunity to be in his child's life. Not, of course, not without seeking the necessary help. And he served his time. The pain and the devastation that has occurred will never go away. But at the same time, that is that child's father. Now, we had a segment last week on family, and Author Rory Smith asked me, I hear music, Mar. Yeah, Author Rory Smith asked me, what did I think family was? And one of my responses was unconditional love and the foundation, your foundation, whether it's rocky, whether it's solid, it's still your foundation. And I believe everyone has the right to have a healthy relationship, at least a chance at a healthy relationship, regardless of what's happened in the past. So that's, in this case, it's a very extreme situation, but I'm going to hold strong to my conviction. And that's regardless of what's happened in the past. And that's very tough. But regardless of what's happened in the past, given enough time, given rehabilitation, a person should have access to at least trying to establish a healthy relationship with their child. Right? So, whoo. Mar, it was tough, man. You know, that was I almost didn't want to talk about this.
Yes.
You know, it was that serious, Mar.
So tell me this.
Yeah.
Tell me this. Hold on. When will it not be a good situation to have custody or parental rights? What situation that you can think of? Well, it's not when it's not okay.
Okay, so custody, that's a different thing. If you have custody
parental rights.
Well, I think you have to be coherent. I think you have to be in the right mind state to have parental rights as well as custody. Right? It's all about your mental health and the space. Custody, it's even more. It's more on a checklist when you think custody, because when you think custody, that means the child is in your care, and you have to actually physically care for the child.
Right.
And so that's that's even more strenuous. But just actually it's not, because parental rights is it's the same thing. You'll have to be in the right mind state to make certain decisions for the child. So you say when would it be okay?
Yeah. So you're saying right now it's okay. He murdered his mom. You know, his mom. Mm-hmm. So now you're saying it's okay for him after so much time.
Time served.
Yeah. And that seems like one of the worst case situations.
That's the worst case scenario.
Now, is there anything worse than that? Where
no,
it's not worse.
It's other than because we're talking about the topic is domestic violence. So that's a situation where in domestic violence it resulted in death. So there is nothing worse than that. Now, what's particular about this situation is the child survived. The child actually survived. So when I say I believe he should have a chance to reunite or be reintroduced back into that family setting, after rehabilitation. So I'm not sure on what happened in the course of an 18-year sentence. I'm not sure of the courses he's taken, of the letters that was written back and forth, if he's really repented, if he's really a rehabilitated man. I'm not sure. But what I can tell you is, now I'm gonna flip it a little bit, and I'm gonna move away from the Carruth situation. I can tell you, I know personally of a bunch of people who have committed some form of domestic violence in their past, and they did get the rehabilitation, and they did take the classes, and they did mature into a new understanding. And so in those cases, I believe they should be able to re-enter the child's life. But a lot of times, at the point of the situation, it's a lot of emotions, it's a lot of attention, something really horrible happens, and then the family structure is broken and divided.
Okay.
Right.
Aaron Devers on Facebook says he tried to kill them both.
He did try to kill them. He did try to kill them both. Damn it. He did try to kill them both. What about abortion? How many people out there, fathers and mothers, have had abortions? How many people have gotten into a situation where you're either pregnant or you've gotten a young lady pregnant, and your initial thought is abortion, and for whatever reason it does not happen, and then a child is born? Because you were thinking abortion initially, should you be stripped of your parental rights? Granted, he took action. He did take action. He took action so that I can't hear myself. Yes, I can. I can hear myself. He took action so that sets it apart from just the thought. Yet and still, abortion is murder at the same as well. So can you be charged for conspiracy?
Well, Aaron goes on to say that's why abortion can't be done past a certain point.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yep. You're right. It can't.
He goes on to say that he was a developed baby at that point.
Yeah, he was 8 months. He definitely was 8 months. But who sets? I have a different view about that. In my opinion, not even my opinion, listen, when that sperm reaches the egg, that's a human. Period. We all start from that initial contact. So from day one, if a baby is being formed, that's a human. Period. There is what is it, an alien? What is it, is it 3/4 of a man? It's a human. We all start from there. My mother did not want to have me. Fortunately, she didn't go through the process to get the abortion. She just drank and smoked the entire time. But I still, was able to get here. And so to answer Aaron's question, that's state guidelines. But state guidelines, like morality versus reality. In reality, once the sperm reaches an egg, that is a baby, my friend. This is a heavy topic, man. So I do want to share. I printed out some stats.
Okay, hold on one second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Don't forget to call in 510-922-1553. Call in with your questions or your thoughts.
Yeah. It's actually 510-922-1253.
1253, excuse me.
And I'm going to take a quick moment because I'm going to transition into providing some statistics on domestic violence just in the state of California, since we are the California Urban Podcast. Before I do that, let me share this really quick. So, Mark, what are your thoughts?
I believe it's a woman's choice, when you're talking about abortions and things like that. So I think that's two different situations, apple and oranges. Like I said, that's a woman's choice. What he did was his choice, to another woman. That's basically what they're trying to do as far as Roe versus Wade. Get rid of that. So it's pretty much the same thing. Yep.
Let me share this. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sharing it on my page on Facebook, and let me let them know I'm live.
Let's see.
So you think it's apples and oranges?
I mean, what you just said, as far as abortion versus, because I know you kind of big on that abortion thing,
I'm huge on that abortion thing.
So,
I'm not for. People are gonna hate me, bro. I think once a sperm reaches the egg, that's a baby. However, it is a woman's choice because it does affect her and her body. But if someone was to ask me, if a woman was to ask me, should she abort a child, I would say no, regardless of the circumstance.
I agree with that. I agree.
All right, so everyone that's just tuning in, I am your host of the one of the hosts of the California Urban Podcast, Marc Lavar, and I am here live in studio with super producer Marvin Bayboy Finch. And the topic today, I'm good?
You're good?
Yeah. The topic today is domestic violence and how domestic violence affects our households, and post-domestic violence, should the perpetrator be able to be reintroduced to the child if there is a child in the situation. But before we continue, let me read off some statistics from California. So first off, 32.9, which is basically 33% of California women and 27% of California men experience intimate partner physical violence, intimate partner sexual violence, or intimate partner stalking in their lifetimes. It's a very high number. In 2007, get this number, 175,000 calls. Remember, this is in just the state of California. 175,000 domestic violence related calls to law enforcement occurred. Many incidents were unreported. You can't forget about the ones that were unreported. And 40% of the reported incidents involved weapons. Now, that's a huge problem. Again, because when you're in love and you're in a relationship, it's full of emotion. So there's another stat I wanted to point out to you. Let me see here. The presence of a gun in a home during a domestic violence incident increases the risk of homicide by 500%. You hear that, Mar? 500%. If there is a domestic situation and there is a gun in the home, it increases the chance of homicide. That's where the person can't come back by 500%. It's crazy.
Right.
Rape case centers or rape crisis centers served 32,000 survivors of sexual violence between 2011 and 2012. And this is just in California. So this is a very serious thing that's happening in our community, in our households, and that's why this discussion needs to happen. In a single day, get this, domestic violence shelters served almost 6,000 women and children. In a single day. A forcible rape occurs, and this is horrible. A forcible rape occurs in California every 56 minutes. So every hour, someone is being raped. And this is in the beautiful California. It's in the beautiful California. So chime in, guys. Hit us up. We're at area code 510-922-1253. Again, for the guys that are just logging in, we are discussing domestic violence in our households, and in particular, when a child is involved, when should the perpetrator be able to be reintroduced to the child? So,
okay, I got Roy Smith over here.
Okay.
He says on Facebook, the problem with your statement is...
Oh, there you go. The problem. What's the problem, Roy?
Right. He said it was a plot to murder.
Yes.
It was a plot murder to kill. He said abortion is part of the law of the land. That's a big difference in murder. So he's saying he plotted on his kid and the mother, right? Like, that's bad.
That's horrible.
That's bad.
That's horrible.
How can you have custody no matter how much time you serve?
Well, the kid
after that,
the kid is 17 years old, and don't get it twisted. By no means am I taking up for Ray, but what I am saying is I'm looking at the situation in its entirety, not just Ray Carruth's situation isolated. I'm looking at the domestic violence in general. And again, when should someone be allowed to be reintroduced to the child? And Ray Carruth's situation is such a good situation to talk about because it's extreme. It's all the way. He went all the way with it. And so to speak to that, again, it was 18 years ago. He was a young man. Who knows? So are we saying once a crime is committed, you should never be forgiven? Is that what we're saying?
Okay, let me ask you this.
Okay. Wait, what you want?
What if the kid was, let's say, 5 years old, and Ray tried to kill the kid, hang him, beat him, whatever, but he tried to kill him because he didn't want him anymore, and he ends up going to jail, serving 18 years or whatever, and gets out, and now he wants to be part of the kid's life. Tell me about that one.
Why can't y'all just agree that people should be given second chances, dude?
I'm trying to find that reason
the
where
line, right?
That line, exactly.
The line. I'll say it again. What was his? So, and here's the thing, too. A lot of times we don't account for mental health. We just glaze over mental health like everyone should be in the same frame of mind, and everyone chemicals are on and everyone brain waves operate the same. There's a such thing as a chemical imbalance. There's a such thing as PST, post-traumatic or PTS, post-traumatic stress syndrome. There is you never know what someone has experienced in their lives. That's why you have people like therapists and workshops and doctors to diagnose these situations. So it always goes with me. It always goes back to how healthy mentally is the person. He may have tried some heinous stuff and had those thoughts going through. He may have been in a deep depression. What was his condition at the time of the act?
Would you give a person with mental illness a gun?
No, not at all.
When will it be okay for that person with mental illness to get a gun?
I believe there has to be a series of tests, a series of blood work, or however you determine whether somebody is mentally ill. Once that determination has been made, in order to purchase a firearm, I believe you have to be able to take those tests again and be re-examined, and depending on those results. That's like saying...
So basically, someone has to make a decision for it to be okay for him to carry a gun.
I think a collective group or body would have to make a decision.
And should...
Not just one doctor. Maybe it's multiple doctors.
And so should it be the same for what we're talking about with Ray Carruth as far as trying to get his child rights back?
Absolutely. I think he, again, would have to prove that he's in a different space mentally. And who knows? Obviously, there's nothing in place to dictate that. But that's where, our system could be better and could be improved upon. Because too many times, and again, I'm going to separate the Carruth situation to a lighter situation. Many times you have, let's say, you have a married couple and they have a kid, and the husband has a drinking problem, and he gets violent at times, and then one time he got too violent and he hits the woman, and child sees it. Let's say the child saw it and police were called. Guy's taken to prison. Woman presses charges. That's the end of their relationship. That's the end of the husband and wife relationship. But what about the child? Marv, let's say the child is 5 years old. Is that the end of the father and child relationship? Or after he serves his whatever sentence he has and goes through whatever the rehabilitation process is and is deemed mentally healthy and stable by a professional, should he be able to re-enter that child's life? My answer is yes. Because if you look at the stat here, it says the very first stat is 32.9% of California women experience domestic violence. But there's another stat as well. It's the stat for the men. 27.3% of men experience domestic violence. So it's the same thing. If the shoe was on the other foot and the woman attacks the man and charges are pressed against the woman and she has to go away, same thing. I almost feel like society will be more lenient towards a woman re-entering the child's life. And that's where the double standard works against the male in that situation. But nonetheless, people should have access to their children just as long as they're mentally capable. Right. So what do you guys think? I'm waiting for this phone to ring. Hold on. Someone else. Yeah. This is a very sad. IG is blowing up right now. This is a very sad topic. And, I really thought hard about whether we should actually touch on this. And that's why I don't want to talk down upon Mr. Carruth. I just want to use that situation that's all over the headlines to spark a broader conversation, even though it's broader, but it's still deep and it affects us all. And so I wanted to use that situation to bring this domestic violence overall to the show and put it on the table and get people's thoughts and opinions about it. Because too many households are being separated due to single acts, right? Woo, it's getting hot.
Yeah, it's getting real.
It's getting hot.
It's getting real up in here.
It's getting hot.
So yeah, I definitely hear where you're coming from. And you, as a father, you don't want anything to come between you and your son, no matter what.
Not at all.
No matter
son,
what you
daughter, do. No matter what, Marvin. Not to cut you off, but no. And I don't want anything to come in between any of the parental relationships. Right? I don't want anything to come in between the mother. I don't want anything to come in between me in regards to our relationship. And trust me, when you're in a long-term relationship, especially, you always experience some form of turbulence. And so certain people are a little more extreme than others. Certain people are a little more unstable than others mentally. And things happen within a relationship. But even the state of California believes this as well. Regardless, we should try to keep the parent, the birth parents in the child's life. I remember at one point, in the early 2000s, the state of California slowed down on issuing license to open new group homes. And that was because they had an initiative to try to do everything they can to keep the children with their parents. And I agree with that. Although some situations aren't necessarily the healthiest situations, but in other situations, regardless, your parents are your parents, and you need to have some form of relationship with your parents if possible.
You're right. What happened to all them group homes they used to have? I don't see any anymore, huh?
Yeah, it's not many out there. At one point, I used to work at a group home in San Francisco, and this lady, she was successful, man. She had like 3 or 4 group homes. And then I went on to working. That was actually my favorite. That was my most gratifying job I ever had. was serving those children. Then I went on to working at another huge corporation that had multiple homes. They almost had a community in Nevada. I won't say their name, but it was a whole community of group homes that was under this one organization. And I went out there to work. And you know what's crazy, Marv, is I developed relationships with some of the children, and we still have relationships today. Yep. I served the adolescent children in between 14 and 18.
Right.
And then, and that was the one in San Francisco. And then the one in Nevada, it was younger children, 5 through 10.
Didn't they used to have one on Divisadero? Remember that group home? Remember that one?
On Diviz?
Off of Masonic? Is that
Diviz and Masonic?
Yeah, around that area.
They probably did, man. I don't.
We used to be.
You talking about you're talking about Huckleberry Home? No, that's
a little bit. I was in that one, Huckleberry Home.
Okay.
I got sent to that one. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but that group home on not Divisadero. What street was that? I think that was Masonic.
No, you probably talking about the one I worked at, dude. It was over in that area. It was 3 blocks up from the Panhandle.
Okay. I used to creep up in there, a bunch of girls.
Get out of here. Come on, bro. Come on.
Let me stop.
Stop, Mark. Come on, man. There was a lot of female workers there. But, yeah, I developed relationships with those children, though. But the point I was getting to was, dude, you want to realize what it feels like to be alone and hopeless? Try working at a group home and counseling a child that is 5 years old in a house full of strangers. Okay? I remember one night, this was after everything, the kids are asleep, and I'm sitting on the couch with my coworker, and we just sitting there chopping it up. And I looked around because I was an overnight counselor, and I wanted to go home, right? And I looked around, and I was like, damn, I'm tired. I kind of want to go home. And then it dawned on me, I actually have the capability and opportunity to go home. And each child in that home, they didn't have that opportunity. Every child was living on the hope that their mother or father was going to come and get them. Right? Every single child. Uh-oh, here's somebody calling. Yeah, but that broke my heart. It definitely did. But that's what made it gratifying as well. Because I was... Okay, let me answer this. Oh, man, he hung up. He had to call back. Hopefully he'll call back. Yeah, whoever just called, please call back. I accidentally hung up because I was in the middle of a spill. But yeah, I at that point of realizing every child really wanted to be with their parents and they couldn't for whatever reason, really puts me on the side of you need to have some type of relationship with your paternal parent. Call back. Whoever that was, call back.
Yep, I definitely agree with that, man.
Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are just tuning in, we are discussing domestic violence in California and how it affects the parental rights of the perpetrator. And the question is, after domestic violence has occurred in a home and the perpetrator is separated from that family, more importantly, that child, when should they have the right to be reintroduced or reconnected with the child? That is the topic today. I am taking calls. Call back. Here, let me see if I can call you back.
Who was that?
I don't know, but I'm just looking for the number.
Let's see.
Yeah, call back. Heavy topic, man. I'm in here sweating. Hey, Shamar, what's going on with you? Yeah, we're talking about domestic violence in households, and specifically when domestic violence occurs, when should the perpetrator be able to be reintroduced to the child that's in the situation? Should they be totally separated forever, or is there ever a situation where they should be able to be reintroduced and be able to reestablish a relationship with the child.
Yeah, I still say when that one person make the other person draw blood, I think that's when
It's over?
I think it's over, man.
It's over for life?
I mean, you might as well say, I would have to say at least 20 plus years. I would think.
But what if, again, they go to jail, they serve their time, they do their, whatever time they're given, they serve that. Whatever rehabilitation that's recommended, they do it.
Right, they serve the government time. That's the government time.
That is the government time.
Now you still got the other time. You know what I mean?
You're absolutely right.
So that's how I look at it.
You're absolutely right. It is the government time. So you would like for laws to be more strict in those situations?
Definitely depend on what it is.
Or you think it's the woman, or not the woman? Excuse me. It's whoever was the victim. It's their call.
Pretty much. I mean, no, because sometimes they can be too harsh. So, like I said, it all depends on the situation.
Right.
Murder, life. Shouldn't be no get back from that. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to look at it as being the victim's family. You know what I mean? Somebody killed one of your family member, you want life.
Yeah. I know of a situation where a child's father really hurt his mother and sent the mother went to the hospital. The mother is permanently damaged. I won't go too much into specifics because I want to keep that person's identity anonymous, but I was there and I was around during that time. And from what I saw of the relationship between the father and the children, after that situation happened, the father really did still love his children. And he also really loved his wife. He just wasn't in the right mental space to be a husband and be a father in that moment. And so he made the egregious error of committing domestic violence, in turn hurting the woman and scarring her for the rest of her life. Seemed as if she forgave him. No one never really could tell what a person holds inside, but she continued to have a relationship with the man. They were separated, yet she still continued to have, from what I saw, a healthy relationship with him. And he had a relationship. He was able, through that healthy relationship, he was able to have a relationship with his children. So, hey, what's going on, Rochelle? I see you just tuning in on IG. Also, check us out on California Urban Podcast live on Facebook. If you go on Facebook, you will see this guy always calls at the wrong time. Rochelle, but we're talking about domestic violence. Let me take this call. Welcome to the California Urban Podcast. You're on live with your host, Marc Lavar, and super producer Marvin Bay Boy Finch. Talk to us.
What's up, brother? This is Arthur Rory Smith. I'm loving your podcast. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get off the phone. Most people, sometimes when you do things, you make serious mistakes, there's no comeback. You have to move on with your life and live your life. Just because you have a son or a daughter, it's like you raped your daughter for 10 years and she got away from you. You think she wants the right for you to come back in her life. Right. After you devastated her for life. All that child knows is you killed his mother. You tried to kill him. That's what he's been told all his life. Now you're trying to come back in his life, and he gets a serious financial gain through the NFL and the things you had. You don't know what people, and he might have been in his right mind. Didn't need no therapy. He just wanted to kill her.
Right.
So he can not be out of his responsibility.
Rochelle.
A lot of people don't have psychological.
Just log on to my page.
They just stay in the situation to where they figure that's the only way they can get out. You know what I'm saying? He could have paid a little bit of child support back then. He wasn't going to pay a lot per month, and that was that. But at the same time, you can do some horrible things in your own family and your own thing. There are people I will not fool with. It's not about forgiveness either. It's about moving forward. So if you're a good person, why would you want to bring all this horrible back on your kid who's been clean, who's been working, who's been doing okay? Now I'm going to relive this. Now I can understand if something happened where he got in a domestic fight and an accident happened between him and his mother where she fell down. She was trying to kill him, and she fell down. He had to serve 15 years because they couldn't prove he was trying to defend himself. And he's fighting for his child, and his child believes that he didn't do that. That's different. This man plotted to kill. That's like the hitman. When he get out of jail, should he be able to come and have a relationship with the kids to apologize to? So think about that. Because he's remorse too. For trying to kill a woman, for killing a woman and trying to kill a child. So should he rekindle with Ray Carruth to be partners and apologize to him and be a part of his life? So you have to look at stuff like that.
Right.
If that happened, dude gotta go. And then when you talk about counseling, man, and medicine and all that, you have to realize nobody in it right now ever do counseling for urban communities. They only do counseling for medicine and science. And they give you medicine, science, they diagnose you with neurological problems. They don't never diagnose you with growing up in the hood.
Yeah, they don't never diagnose you. You're right. You're never diagnosed for growing up in the hood. And to my knowledge, that's most likely where this guy grew up. He probably grew up in the hood. And would you say this? There's no doubt that he wasn't in the right or a normal mental space. You can't be in your right mind to do something like this. You can't be.
You'd be surprised about people.
Right, but would you agree that a lot of situations happen when people are not in their right mental space, or they have mental issues?
That's like if I come home and something happened to my family and I found out what it was and I go over to your house and blow everybody away, I wasn't in my right mind.
Right, so in this situation, it's possible.
Listen, man, if I plot and go, I'm good enough to go hire a hitman, and I plot to keep my hands clean, something wrong. Yeah, something wrong, but I was in my right mind to commit a murder.
No. If you're not in your right mental space, that's not a matter of minutes. Sometimes someone can be in a deep, dark space for an extended amount of time. And in this case, I think he was in a deep... Hold on. I think in this case, he was in a... Hold on, I was speaking. I think in this case, it's highly possible that he was in a deep, dark space. I remember is the woman's name Lorena Bobbitt, the one that cut the man's penis off?
He's had an 8-month-old child about to come in 8 months. Tell me what's in.
I couldn't hear you.
You tell me what state of mind he's in.
What state of mind? I don't know. I've never been in that state of mind. But he was in. But you asked me, so I'm answering. He was in a state of mind of maybe of vengeance, maybe of fear, maybe of you. Listen, you know how many murders? You know how many murders happen? Hold on. You know how many murders happen in an urban community on a yearly? Yes, many of them. Yes, many of them. Yes. Who knows if this guy was on drugs? At the time,
he wasn't in the urban community. He was a rich.
He's from the urban community.
Listen, hold up. He was about to get a great contract. He got a great contract, and all he was thinking about was child support. See, this is where you have to look at the whole thing. All he was thinking about is the amount of money he has to give her for child support. See, this is why when you really look at the whole thing, he didn't want to share his new NFL contract with her or that baby.
Yeah, but let me interject. Okay, that's a good point.
To do with his stress.
That's a good point. Now let me interject real quick, just based off of that point. A lot of that's money. right? Where'd he grow up? Where I'm from, you talk about somebody taking your money, that's grounds to do whatever.
You're gonna give
Right?
your money to your child.
You hear this. So even all in the music that we listen to, the rap
Why you
music,
think
even all in the
money?
rap music, it's ingrained in our hood culture or in the urban culture that you don't let a person play you. And then we praise people when they don't let a person play them. Oh, they stood up for theirs so he could have been in that mind state. And to me, that's not a healthy mind
Somebody's
state.
playing you. A baby that haven't even been born, don't have no say so, and he's plotting against you, and the woman's plotting against you. Somebody that you sleeping with is plotting against to get all your money, right? In that time and day, if you'd have said today. That time of day when women couldn't, even NFL players wasn't paying a tremendous amount of child support. You're talking about a dude giving up maybe $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month. Kill a woman because he didn't want
I don't agree with it. What I'm saying is his mind state he wasn't in a healthy, logical thinking frame of mind. That's also 10 years post Mike Tyson and Robin Givens. So it's a fact that athletes. It's factual that people do prey on celebrities.
No, but let me give you a difference.
But is that a fact? That people do prey on celebrities? Is that a fact? I'm asking you, is that a fact though? Is that a fact that we're aware of? People prey, but is that a fact? Before you continue, is that a fact that people do prey on celebrities?
The problem you speaking. I'm giving you the fact.
No, I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question.
Hold on, let's hear what he got to say. Go ahead.
That's a yes or no answer, though.
No, it's not. Sometimes it's not a yes or no question. It's a yes or no question the way I answer it. Mike Tyson wears it on his face so you know what he is. The difference is
he what? What did he say? He wears it on his face so you know what he is.
Okay, you know what Mike Tyson is going through and what he is, right? So
wow.
What
do you mean?
I need to have serious problems.
How do you know?
That's a difference.
How do you know? Because his actions, right?
Because Mike Tyson's actions, right?
His actions.
Yes.
So in Ray Carruth, he did have
did not have them actions.
The incident is actions. That's the ultimate action, sir.
We make it.
That's no excuse. That's no excuse. That's a fact.
It became an incident. Listen. It became an incident because he probably was.
Okay, we can't hear you, so we're gonna end the call. But thank you for that perspective, and I know a lot of people have that perspective that Mr. Rory was discussing, and to a large part, I do agree. All I'm doing is raising the other side of it, and an issue that a lot of times gets overlooked, and that is the issue of mental health. Right? I would think, obviously, he's not in a healthy frame of mind to commit such an egregious act against a pregnant woman of 8 months.
Yeah, I mean, something was going on.
Something was loose in there.
Yeah, something was going on.
So let's figure that out. Right? Instead of just, he's just an evil person. He conspired. Yeah, I know. Listen, where I'm from, a lot of things happen, man. A lot of things happen. Period. I've witnessed a lot in my time, and I've witnessed horrible things from what I would have thought was good people. I've witnessed people do horrible things to other people, and then later on realize that they made a mistake and an error. If you want to take a lesser act, let's go cheating.
Okay, hold on.
Yes, sir.
Now, was that mistake that he made? Was it the mistake that he got caught?
No.
What kind of? You say mental.
Yes.
Now, was it something mental? Because, like the caller said, he was worried about his money, and that's what set him off. So, is it the greed, that got him in that put him in that situation? Like,
I don't know what triggered it, but what I can say for myself is, I would say I'm blessed to have a really calm state of mind. Not only do I have a calm state of mind, but I'm also blessed in confidence, to where regardless of whatever the situation is, I've been in situations where I separated from the woman, maybe the woman was cheating or whatnot, and I had to move on and move forward with my life. And in that situation, I couldn't imagine feeling hopeless on what would happen if I felt hopeless, or if I had low self-esteem. But I've always been blessed with confidence and the belief that regardless of what happens, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be able to move on and do better and move on with my life. And maybe that has helped me not cross some of those lines that other people in that end up in domestic violence situations. But the thing is, we don't know. So when we say with this guy, was it the money? It very much so could have been the money. But how is his personality? It was I think overall what we're saying is there was a situation that aggravated him. Does he have anger issues? Right? It's a deeper. Let's not look at the surface. Oh, it was the money. He was scared of child support. Probably true. A lot of people go through child support. What made this guy commit murder because of child support? Was he on steroids? Was it too many of those protein shakes mixed with a little woo-wop? We don't know. We do not know. And I think those are the questions that need to be asked and answered, right? Those are the questions. No doubt what happened is horrible and it can never be reversed. Never. It can never be reversed. But moving forward, we need to examine the mental state of people so that we can come with better preventative measures, so that we know how to identify when someone is going through something, when someone has the potential to commit an act like this. Right? So I never like to, and honestly, what the last caller did was what a lot of people do. We create stories in our own head. And those stories are based off our experiences and what we saw growing up or what we see in our community. But let's get out of our own head and try to figure out what's in his head. We don't know what motivated him to do that.
No, we actually don't. He never said anything about it. Right.
So hold on, share your video. Okay, IG ended, so now we just straight on there on Facebook. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up, Marv. I'm gonna wrap it up, man. I want to appreciate and thank everyone that called in. Mr. Arthur Rory M. Smith, man, that is one of the co-hosts of the California Urban Podcast. It's my OG, it's my go-to guy. And just to let everyone know of me and Arthur Rory's relationship, this is someone who's taken care of me my entire life. So maybe that is something, and maybe that's another contribution of why I've never committed domestic violence. I had a person like Arthur Rory M. Smith in my life to check me and to give me guidance under duress. Right? So we don't know that guy's path or what was going through his mind at the moment. But besides all that, I want to give condolences to the family. And this is a public topic. It's been shared all across networks. They also have a 30-minute story that they published on it. So it's not like we're going and digging up things and then, coming with new information for the public. What we are offering on the California Urban Podcast is maybe a new perspective. So thank everyone that's tuning in. And still, even with this topic, not enough people called in to weigh in on it, because I know there are a lot of people out there just based off these stats alone that experience domestic violence in their lifetime. That's it, man. We signing off. I'm your host, Marc Lavar. We're here with super producer Marvin Bait Boy Finch, and we want to thank everybody for tuning in to us tonight. Tomorrow we will have our family night, so my family will be in studio doing what we do. Thanks, guys. Take it easy. Marv, why aren't I able to add the stories to my Instagram story?
You should be able to. Hold on, let me.
It doesn't. Oh, there it is. Oh, it did it. Okay, because last night it didn't do it.
Finish up on this intro.